Welcome to the Morning Report, a production of fightbackmedia.com, the #1 source of urban conservative information in America.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. I trust that you are well today. I haven't gotten to this yet. A lot of people have been talking about this for, I don't know, a week or so or 2 weeks or so. Why did these guys win? Why did they win? Or more succinctly, why did Kamala Harris lose? Uh, there's been a lot of talk about why, and because I don't know, Oprah didn't do well, or Tim Walz didn't do well on the campaign trail, or Beyonce, or Megan the Stallion, or yeah, Cardi B. And I think it boils down to this. It boils down to that the Democrat Party and this particular campaign is massively out of touch with the American public. They thought they were. I think they thought that they were in touch with a portion of the American public, the loud portion of the American public that, hangs out on TikTok, hangs out on Instagram. Nobody hangs out on Facebook anymore. Those folks. I think they were trying to reach out to them because they made a mistake thinking that because there were so many of them that they were the majority, and they are not. I've always been a fan of political cartoons, because I believe that the humorists and the comics and the cartoonists have the best eye on what is really going on in the country or in the world, really. And this particular cartoon sort of says it all. Let me see if I can share it with you. There you go. There you are. Up in the these are all, the lady is there, the laptop, you can see her. It says, how is it even possible to lose to Trump? Because they never thought in a million years that they could lose to Trump. Some people never thought that. That's why some of them that you see are really upset. They, just like in 2016, they never thought for a second that they could be wrong. And we can just go on and on, looking at all these posters on the wall here in their campaign office. It's in it's a boiler room, and boiler rooms are where people do campaigns. Well, anyway, that's why all this other stuff here. It's a boiler room, and we see teachers' unions over parents. When Ron DeSantis decided that there would be protections for parents, so when their kids went to school, that their parents would have some say in what was going on in the classroom, what was going on in the school. The people that pushed back the most, teacher unions. Some of this was through COVID, but the people that pushed back the hardest against the then woke agenda, and it's funny because then the left wanted to say, define woke. It's like defining porn. I don't know. I know when I see it, though. I can't tell you, but I know when I see it. So when it's more important to have drag queen story time, books in the elementary schools, like That's Gay, showing kids how to have oral sex, showing kids how to masturbate. This is why you lose, and not pushing back on that, actually pushing that forward, and pushing that forward with teacher unions and the like, and other far left extremeness. And it's extreme, it really is. It's extreme to push this stuff to a fourth grader, to a 9-year-old. It's extreme. The trans agenda in the elementary school is extreme. And people just weren't down with it. They just weren't, and they aren't. And they are not. Even people that might not have voted for Trump before are not down with it. They're just like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely, positively not. and and these folks, let's see if I can get this picture back up again. Um, these folks here, identity politics, uh, equity over equality. Now, people wonder, what's that mean? Well, equity over equality. Let's see if we can talk about that for a minute. Let me click over here. Boom. Equity over equality. Equity is the idea that we would have equal outcomes. Knowing that we don't have equal starts, knowing that we don't have equal opportunity, that everybody starts from a different place. And it's just the way it is. Barron Trump has an advantage over my kid. He does. I don't have Donald Trump. I don't have Donald Trump money. I don't. My wife doesn't have Donald Trump money. So Barron Trump has a distinct advantage over my kid in that aspect. It isn't that my kid can't be successful. It isn't that my kid won't be fulfilled in his life. That's not true at all. But will they end up in the same place? Probably not. Probably not. There's still an opportunity as long as my kid's alive and he's willing to work. He's willing to put up with whatever. But Barron Trump had a head start. And most of the country has the idea, as long as you don't put any impediments in my kid's way. Listen to this. As long as you don't put any impediments in my kid's way, even if you start ahead of him, I don't have a problem with that because my kid is starting ahead of somebody else. My kid is starting ahead of a kid that might not have had both of his parents. My kid is starting ahead of a family that might not have been able to send him to private school for a while. My kid has an advantage because both his parents have jobs and he had health care and he was healthy all this childhood. My kid has an advantage over some other kid for sure. So it's up to me not to be an impediment to the child who didn't have the same start as my kid. And most of the country, that's our idea of equality. Knowing full well that we can't always all end up in the same place. Equal opportunities, not equal outcomes. All there is. That's how you have a society that works. Otherwise, you're gaming the system and making some people fail. My idea and the country's idea is we're not going to make people, we're not going to rig the system so people fail. No, we're going to get government and all these things out of the way so people can be as successful as they possibly can. And some people will be uber wealthy and some people will just get by. Why? Because that's the way of the world. Because most of us are adults. We're not 12-year-old girls. So this idea of equity over equality, although you could kind of make it sound good to someone who, to some of these kids that go to some of these universities that believe that everybody ought to be exactly the same during the Trump dance, aren't I? Did you see the Trump dance has hit the NFL? The kid from Georgia who went to the Raiders. Funny stuff. Anyway, let's go back to the picture and pick off a few more things here. Where is it? There it is, right there. Okay, there's the picture. Folks are sick of we got sick of mandates. And I know that, well, when I talk about this is kind of going to be kind of important because I woke up 2 days ago. Let's see, today is 3 days ago to an email from YouTube And they told me that they had taken down a video that I had done back on July 13th, 2021. Why? Medical misinformation. Because the algorithm, the robot, heard a snippet of what I said and it took the video down. That was it. So I'm trying to be really careful here. So excuse me if I seem to be dancing, but I'm too fat to dance. So I'm not. I'm just trying to get this said. Mandates were given out during a certain part of time here in our recent past when they weren't necessary, when they just weren't necessary. History has proven the case that they were not necessary. As a matter of fact, some of the people who uh, opted for these mandates are backing away and said that they never said that. They never called for mandates, although we have videotape of them calling for all sorts of mandates and mandates. People's jobs were threatened. People were accosted in grocery stores because they didn't follow the mandate. People were afraid of losing their jobs because they didn't want to do the mandate, didn't want to do it. And as it turned out, a lot of folks remember all that stuff. So the mandates were a problem. It wasn't medicine, it was mandates. That was a problem. And this whole victimhood, and what doesn't help now is that there's so many people on social media who have these crying videos where they're just screaming and yelling and rolling on the floor like a 5-year-old. What all that does is make people who just decided to vote for this guy, vote for Donald Trump, say, "Yeah, I was right. I was right." All it does is make them feel better about their choice. And because they feel better about this choice, when time for another choice under similar circumstances, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's going to be this guy here. I don't know if he has the juice. Who says so? So people are asking me, so Willie, who would you like to see in 28? I'd like to see my governor. After spending 2 years out of the governor's mansion here in Florida, at that point, I'd like to see him run for president, and I'd like to see him win. I would, but I don't know. We'll see. So the whole victimhood thing, people aren't down with. People are tired of being told that they are the cause of somebody else not being successful, when all they've been doing is living their lives, living paycheck to paycheck like everybody else. They've been trying to buy that $8 a gallon of milk, or that $8 a gallon um, jug of orange juice. They haven't done anything to anybody. They've never owned a slave. They've never seen a slave. They've never, what I'm saying? They're tired of being told that somehow somebody else is a victim because these people are living their lives. They're tired of hearing that. And they're tired of being told that. I mean, this time the left actually said, ignore your pocketbook. Now, it has been a historic thing that the kitchen table politics has always been the deal. Kitchen table politics. And what I mean by that is that everybody sits, mom and dad are sitting at the kitchen table, and the bills are splayed out on the table: the electric bill, the gas bill, the tuition bill for the kids' school, all the bills. And we all know that most times in America, there's a lot more money. There's a lot more month than there is money. And when people can see, like, wait a minute, 3 years ago, we were planning vacations. We hadn't been doing that for a while. We were planning on taking family vacations. And now we're not planning on taking family vacations. What we're talking about doing is, how do I maybe I get a second or a third job. Maybe I add a work from home job to my family so we could deal with the bills that are on this table. Not that I could get another job and then we could save for a vacation and go to Disney World. If I could just get the mortgage paid with a second job or a third job, even. And people and that kitchen table dynamics, that's the economy that matters. So when they tell you that inflation is first of all transitory, oh, it'll pass. And then they tell you, I mean, first of all, they tell you it's not happening. And then they tell you it's transitory. And then they tell you it's, it's happening, but it's not that bad. And then they tell you it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And the people who are yelling about inflation, they're the problem. They do that with a lot of things, don't they? They do that with a lot of things. And some people are catching on. It's funny. I'm having conversations with my wife about this stuff more and more. And all the time that I was running for office, all that stuff, it wasn't like she wasn't interested, because she was interested. But this time is different for her because it is so apparent. It's so obvious. The curtain has been pulled down. It's so obvious at this point what's going on. And I just said to her a little bit ago, you're catching up, baby. You're catching up. And a lot of people this time caught up. About 72 million people caught up. And they said, something's got to be done. We can't go the same. We can't keep going down that path that Kamala Harris wanted everybody to go down. That the left wanted people to go down with defund the police. We saw we saw Elon, my man. Gotta tell you this. We saw what happens to electric vehicles when they flood. We saw that with Helene. We saw that with Milton. So this push for, like in California, to have all electric vehicles by 2035. Like, what? Mandates. Like, no. We don't want to go that way. We've seen the destruction of what these windmills cause. We've seen miles and square miles of solar panels that you know what they don't do? They don't allow rain or water to get into the ground very easily. And those panels are as dirty environmentally as anything, right? And we find this stuff out, right? We keep finding this stuff out. We keep finding out that these solar panels and their components and the components for a lot of the electric vehicles, I should say battery operated vehicles, are made in China. And as we find this stuff out, the stuff starts to seep down. Not that we're finding out on ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, or CNN. Oh no, because that's not part of their agenda. We're finding out every other way that they hate us to find out. Or what we're finding out is the truth, because it's being proven. This is why you lost. It's because the American public no longer trusts you. That's why you lost. Kamala Harris, the left, Democrats. Why the reason you lost is that we don't trust you anymore. We just don't believe you. You've not been trustworthy. Not at all. We've caught you in too many lies. You're like that kid who is all polished and seems like a nice kid, but you catch him in a whole bunch of lies, right? And then you can't trust them anymore. You simply can't trust them because you find out later that they've been lying to you consistently. Been smiling and been joyous, right? So it's joy. I got the joy. I'm a happy warrior. And he's been lying to people. And we found out. And we're continuing to find out. So it didn't matter how many concerts you threw, didn't matter Cardi B, Megan the Stallion, Oprah Winfrey, John Legend. It didn't matter because we've seen you lie. Kamala Harris, you lost. Democrats, you lost because you got caught up in your web of lies. And a lot of people who hadn't been paying close attention before were, because of their kitchen table discussions, they figured it out this time. Now our work has just begun, folks. Now it's time to move the nation back the direction that the founders will be proud of. And for the good or the bad, it's going to be up to these guys to lead that. This guy in particular. Can it be done? I don't know. I pray so. How much can we save? I don't know. Any degree is better than where we are now. I got to get out of here before somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.